Okay, I had to put this episode together before I go out on my half marathon run, you guys. I've had so many downloads over the last 10 to 15 weeks, 18 weeks that I've been training for this half marathon and all the parallels of endurance sports and entrepreneurship. So I'm just pouring my heart out to you guys today on all the things I've learned. And I'll definitely follow up with a post race episode to share with you my journey on the race. Hey friend, Melissa Hinault here with the Burnout to All Out podcast. I'm a former multiple six-figure executive corporate burnout, feeling stuck in the life I built for myself. But using my corporate skills, I took to the internet and have built multiple 6- and 7-figure businesses, showing others how they can build a life they love. Now, on this podcast, I share stories of being an entrepreneur, a mom to my 3 amazing kids, and wife to my wonderful and supportive husband who supports all my wild and crazy dreams. My journey is taking grit and persistence and belief. And believe me, I'm still a work in progress that you may witness in real time, whether it's in our free Burnout to All Out Facebook community, or inside my mastermind, or even in my coaching programs, or maybe just right here on the podcast. I'm laughing and I'm crying with you. I've become a serial entrepreneur with a passion to inspire more burnouts to take the leap of faith and go all out and live out their dreams. Consider me your mentor in your head and on the go. So let's get started. Good morning, guys. I'm excited to go live with you today. It's been a while since I've streamed live my own personal podcast face-to-face with my community out there on LinkedIn and in our Burnout to All Out Facebook community, and even in my private LinkedIn Method Academy. But I wanted to go live with this one because it's really close to my heart and I'm in the thick of it. And I thought it'd be fun just to go live and talk about it as I'm gearing up for race day. Yes, I am doing a half marathon on Saturday in less than 48 hours. And on my journey to training for this half marathon, I've had so many epiphanies about endurance sports and the business athlete, the mindset of the business owner as an athlete. And that had so many downloads and parallels of all my training and business that I wanted to stream live and talk about it. And also just like in anticipation, celebrate with you guys my journey before I hit the road on Saturday. But here's the thing. I'm going to share with you some really interesting parallels in the mindset and the journey of being an endurance athlete and in being an entrepreneur, which quite honestly is an endurance game of mentality, right? Some of you can agree. But first, let me just share with you why I decided to train for a half marathon anyway. I actually did a half marathon over a decade ago before I had 3 kids, and then life got busy. I used to do a lot of endurance sports. I did triathlons, Olympic distance triathlons, but I started to have kids, life got in the way, and I kind of slowed down on the endurance sports and really just started going to the gym. And I realized over the past year that the endurance sports piece, couple things. Number one, it was very meditative for me. I didn't realize it was a kind of coping mechanism that I had locked into at a young age, given some of the junk that I was going through, even as a teenager and as a young 20-something. I really got into some long distance running and endurance sports. And I reflect back and realize it was a lot of that quiet downtime on the road in nature that was really, really meditative for me and helped clear my mind, but also build my self-confidence of what I was truly capable of. So why I did it? Number one, I needed a target goal in my fitness that was challenging me weekly in progression. I needed, how many of you during the midst of COVID, you were still working out, but it was like, I've got my Peloton, I'd hop on, it was fun, but there was nothing there was no regimen that I was following that was really pushing at me to be better every week, to be better, a better version in my health the next week than I was the week before. And I really wanted something that was going to push me to become better every week, just like I do in business, right? I also needed an excuse in the dead of winter to not have excuses to not work out. I needed a deadline. I needed to know that I had to put in those miles because I had a date ahead of me. And if I did not prepare, it would not happen. And there was definitely many snowy, cold, nasty winter days this year that I didn't want to get out. But by the time I got out into my run and I was in the middle of the snow and in the middle of the frigid air, it was actually really refreshing. But had I not had the deadline of training for this race, I absolutely wouldn't have done it. Right. And number two, I don't know about some of you, but last year was a huge year for me in business. And sometimes we have these ebbs and flows in life where I wasn't focused as much on my health and I was focused more on my business. And I wanted to get back under control of my health and make it a number one priority so that not only was I healthier, but I was performing better at work, right? In my business. Also, just for a sense of accomplishment, right? For being a 42-year-old with 3 little kids and a business owner with a number of businesses, I wanted a sense of accomplishment of just what I was capable of, right? And again, just getting back in nature after 2 years, I truly just wanted to prove to myself that I could do this, right? I could, in fact, do this. Okay, so let me just unpack for you guys some parallels that I've come to appreciate and fall in love with endurance sports and business. And number one is the mind game, right? I already alluded to this a little bit, the mind game, but you have to visualize the end game, right? Whether it's in business or it's in your run. And the heat of the run, usually about halfway through my longest run a couple of weeks ago, 2 weeks ago before I started to taper, was about a little over 11 miles. I hit like the 6 or 7 mile mark and you're like just about halfway through and you're tired and you just can't even envision you've got to do just as much more, right? And the key is in endurance sports and in running is to look ahead. Don't look at your feet. Look at where you're headed. Look at where you're going, not down at where you are in this moment. Is that not such a parallel in business? That we are visualizing and looking at where we are headed. We are stepping into becoming the next level leader and business owner that we are. We're looking ahead because if we look down in our business at where we are today and we stay there in our mindset, we will never progress. Right? We will never progress to that future version of ourselves. I've told my team this year, I must step into the 8-figure business owner before those numbers come in. I have to look ahead and know who it is I need to become, right? Same thing in running, right? Visualizing the end in mind, looking ahead at where we're headed and not being stuck in the moment of where we are today, right? The other thing with just the mind game is that forward is a pace, right? Forward is a pace during training and in business, endurance for the long game. What do I mean by that? In training and in business, life is going to throw us curveballs, aren't they? Do we not get curveballs left and right week after week? And I can tell you, and from all the books I've read and all the successful entrepreneurs I know, the difference is those who can take the hit and pick themselves back up and have the most resilience. Successful entrepreneurs have just failed more than you have, right? But they've been willing to progress and have the mindset to pick themselves back up. So let me give you some examples. In my training, it's the same thing, right? You have an off day. I had an injury to my heel. I was doing a lot of cold plunges in the middle of the winter, slipped, fell down the stairs on ice, and busted the back of my ankle open. I probably should have gotten stitches, right? And that could have been the end of me. It could have been the end of me. It could have been my excuse. But instead, one of my neighbors got me these fancy Band-Aids that are like for patients, because she's a nurse, with decubitus ulcers on their rear end. And I was able to use it on the back of my ankle and be cognizant at healing it, but moving forward anyway. Forward is a pace. Forward is a pace, right? There was also illness in my family. We had COVID. Everyone had COVID this winter, whether I had it or the kids had it. You know how it is when there's 5 people in your house. Not everybody has it at one time. It takes like a month and a half to make its way through your life and disrupt everything, right? There were vacations that we took that could have thrown me off my game. But because I had a training regimen, I stuck with it, right? I stuck with it. There was a death in my family last week, right? And guys, here is the thing, same thing in business, right? This was all happening in the middle of my business management as well. We can use these setbacks as an excuse for not moving forward, or we can use these setbacks as our comeback, right? That we can mourn the loss of a family member, we can heal the ankle, we can nurture our family, but know that we have to get back on the train, right? It's not an excuse to stop. Forward is a pace. There were moments where I was injured with my run and with my groin, and instead of just stopping cold turkey, I iced it. I listened to my body, did yoga for a couple days, and then picked it back up. Okay. The bottom line is our environment in business, our environment in training it will never be perfect. It will always ebb and flow. Life will always get in the way. And the question is, as an entrepreneur, and as an athlete, how do you recover? And how do you continue to move forward as a pace? Forward, again, I'll say it again, forward is a pace. Okay, the next thing is mantras, right? So I have found that having a mantra while running and also having a mantra in my business gives me clarity and direction and purpose, right? So my mantra while running is be fierce, become powerful. Be fierce, become powerful, right? What I'm telling myself is you are a fierce athlete. You are a fierce woman. And doing this is making you powerful. It is making you strong, right? I will also say be the example, right? I'm always trying to think about the 3 little sets of eyes that are watching me, that will be at the end of that race, holding that sign for me, right? Be the example. Be fierce. Be powerful. My mantra in business, does it grow my business, my bank account, or does it serve my family for fun, right? Those are my 3 priorities in business, right? And so I have a mantra for business. I have a mantra for my running, right? It gives me clear direction and purpose, right? When you have a powerful why in business, when you have a powerful why in training, you continue to move forward even when it's difficult, right? So I'm in the midst of my half marathon, I'm proving to myself that I can do hard things. I can be the example to my children, right? I can be fierce. I can be a fierce, badass 42-year-old mom that's running this race, right? So have your purpose, have your mindset. The same thing with purpose in business, right? Creating that freedom life that allows me to pop into a musical with my kids yesterday because I own my calendar, right? What is your purpose in driving you, whether it's business or it's as an athlete? Okay. The next thing that's a parallel as I smile is smile and have fun, right? In business and in life and running. Studies show, as far as running goes, this may blow your mind, but those who smile while running, based on recent studies, show that you use less oxygen, you run more economically, and you have a lower rate of perceived exertion, right? The exact same thing has been said in studies around enjoyment in your career. There's significantly less burnout and significantly higher job satisfaction when you have fun and love what you are doing. Are you looking for 360-degree support in launching your online business? It is a confusing space if you're new to the industry, or even if you've been around for a while. Maybe you're looking to elevate your inner circle, in the process, elevating your income. You just might be the perfect candidate for our Burnout to All Out Mastermind. Take a listen to some of our clients who are in the program now, and if it piques your curiosity, head over to our burnouttoallout.co website and register for our masterclass today. We'll be spending 3 days unpacking the most important aspects of online business, from the front end on sales and marketing and your personal brand to the back end of operations and technology to be seen and heard online, all the way to the financial aspects of what it takes to get started and delegate in this industry. You do not want to miss this upcoming masterclass. I'm giving all the goods for free. Join us today.
Hello, my name is Deirdre Palm Adams, and I would love to talk to you about taking your business to the next level with this incredible mastermind. For me, I was so overwhelmed with struggling on how to balance my full-time job, my social selling business, and quite frankly, I had no idea how I was going to get it all done. But what I didn't realize is that I didn't have to do it all myself, that there's proven systems that can actually help me. So this class has taken my social selling business to the next level. It's helped me become super efficient, and it's allowed me to have more time freedom while experiencing extreme growth in my business. Another cool thing that I learned in this mastermind is creating my own professional brand. Of course, my social selling business has a brand, but I didn't have my own brand that was elevated and targeted towards the audience that I needed to attract. It's the attraction factor. That's what I was missing in my business. I also want to talk to you about the support and community. The people who are in this mastermind are so incredible and elevated. The think tank of ideas that we share, quite frankly, is mind-blowing. And the friendships that I've forged have helped me so much in building my confidence to build my business even better. And I can't forget to mention the bonus speakers that Melissa brings into this course and the activities that we do. You learn from the inside scoop from high-level experts. They inspire you and give you the tools to help support you and grow your business even further. So once again, I'm going to ask you, are you ready to take your business to the next level? Do you want to create systems? Do you want to have community, support, and inspiration that will guide you along the way? Then guess what? This mastermind is for you. I'm so glad I did it, and I highly recommend that you do it as well.
Long-term health effects. Smile. Enjoy the journey. Enjoy the journey, right? Okay. The next thing I learned, and again, this is so important, business and in endurance training, is plan ahead to maximize your workout and your work day. There is not a day that doesn't go by that when I'm wrapping up my day, I'm looking at my calendar for the next day for work, for business. And my team knows I make last minute decisions to pull things out of my calendar because they're not serving my purpose, right? They're not serving my purpose, and I need to course correct in my calendar. But I'm also mentally prepared the next morning. I know exactly what I'm walking into, right? Same thing can be said as an athlete in endurance sports. If you do not have a regimen and a plan, a game plan, you will not progress. I would not have gone from running 3 miles to 11 miles over the last 10 to 12 weeks if I didn't wake up every morning with a plan, with an organized plan that was going to get me to my goal, right? There's a whole nother parallel there when it comes to business planning, quarterly and year-long in your business is the same parallel to progressing in your training as an athlete, right? Okay. The next thing is, and this may sound a little funny to some of you guys, but the right gear can make all the difference in your performance, right? The right gear can make all the difference in the performance. As a business owner, do you have the right tools? Are you on the right platform? Right? Is your marketing strategy on point? What is the gear, tools that you are using to make sure you're working hard every day, making sure that the gear that you have is making you most efficient to get the results that you want? Same can be said in running. What I have learned this go round a decade later, I hurt less and have recovered faster than I ever did the last time I trained because of the gear. I have a different type of shoe that I'm using. I've got compression socks that are helping me tremendously. I'm doing cold plunges. So it's like knowing the gear, the systems, the products, the technology that you need, that when you're moving forward on a daily basis, that you're maximizing your efforts because you have the right gear in place, right? I suffered a lot of injuries with my last half marathon. My shoes weren't right. I didn't know to cold plunge, right? I wasn't probably nutritionally as sound as I am today, right? So all those things are so important. Now, the next thing I learned, having a coach and accountability is key, right? Having a coach and accountability is key. Again, whether in business or whether you're training. With running, I needed the push to push me beyond my edge of comfort. I needed the expert who's been there, right? So I used a very regimented training plan with experts who have been there, that have crushed many, many races, that are guiding me and pushing me every single week beyond what I believe I'm capable of. When I first started my training, I wasn't running more than about 30 minutes at a time. As I look back over the last couple of weeks, on a weekly basis, I'm running 60-minute runs at a clip as my easy runs and then my long runs on the weekends. That is because I've had an expert push me beyond my comfort zone that I would not have gone over the edge by myself. Same can be said for business. We will sit in our comfort zone complacent unless we have accountability and invest and put ourselves in communities that force us to see ourselves and push us into and out of our comfort zone, I should say, to shatter the glass ceiling of what's possible through accountability, to just give you that nudge, right? Because that transformation happens when you're out of your comfort zone. Okay. All right. The other one that's been uber important that I have focused on tremendously during this race and in business that I've never done before is how important recovery is. How important recovery is as an entrepreneur and in athletics. Number one, sleep. What I have learned is that the more intense my training became, and I'm a 6 to 7 hour of sleep girl. Like, I'm one of those people who doesn't need a ton, but I found that as I ramped up my racing, I needed more and more sleep. And I actually have found parallels to that in my business, where when we are ramping up in the middle of a very stressful but fun and energetic launch, being on screen and the intensity of it and leading my team, being the face of the company and also being the CEO and the manager and all the things makes me really tired. And so what I have learned is to honor that. Actually, I get up at 5 a.m. all days of the week except for Wednesdays. Do you know that I don't set my alarm on Wednesdays? So on Wednesdays, I sleep until my body naturally wakes up to give myself a midweek run of a large amount of sleep, especially honoring and recognizing in the midst of launches and during race time that my body needs more restoration because of either the mental stress or the physical stress, right? Secondly is nutrition. Definitely something I was not as militant about the last time I trained, or as militant about as an employee than I am as an entrepreneur, realizing that I am the most important asset to my business. What's between my two ears leads my business and is the vision of where we're headed. But the face of me and my voice is also the important face and income producing asset of my business. Therefore, I need to honor this body through being as nutritionally sound as possible so that I can perform and operate at a super high level, right? So those are super important. Now, we talked about sleep and we talked about nutrition. Days off and rest from work and from training are super important. I was listening to my very last run before my race was yesterday. And I'm like a caged lion. It was just for 30 minutes. I'm like so fresh and like ready to go, right? And one of the things he talks about is that you'd rather be over-rested than overworked. Okay, I'm going to say that again because it's so important in business too. You would rather be over-rested than overworked, right? And it goes back to, are you burning the midnight oil and staying up late to work on your business? And or are you in training? Are you squeezing in workouts because you missed them and fatiguing and creating this residual fatigue that's accumulating in your body. And if you are, you're not going to be nearly as resilient in work, right? If you're working too much and you're not taking time off, you're not going to be as resilient and you're going to be fatigued at making the right decisions. You're going to be fatigued and your nervous system is going to be raw when it comes to reacting to things and employees and staff when things aren't going your way, right? So that is really, really important. But also just the downtime from your business, because why are we building our dreams? Why are we growing these businesses? For our own freedom life. So if we're not honoring and serving that and taking breaks from our business to nourish and fill our cup up, we begin to resent. We begin to become tired. We begin to lose our resiliency. So many great analogies here. Recovery. I'm going to the beach next week for an entire week. Right. And my goal is to not pick up my computer at all. And it's right after my race is over and right after a big launch. Right. And so I'm going to be filling my cup up and soaking in what I built, which was the freedom to go to the beach for a week with my family and be unplugged. The freedom to relax and restore from a big race I just trained from. Right. Okay. Now, the other thing I learned, saying no to things that don't align to your goals or compensate your time. I've had to learn that in training. There's been some things I've traveled a lot to a lot of mastermind and speaking engagements this year, and I've still trained for my half marathon, right? What I've had to learn to do is, go to bed earlier than everyone else. If they're staying out past 10 or 11 o'clock, there's nothing good happens after that, right? During cocktail hour, drinking sparkling water with lime instead of the alcohol that's going to make me feel like shit and I'm not going to be able to perform the next day, right? So it's being able to say no to things that aren't going to serve your body during training. And it's the same for business. Saying no to business engagements that don't meet that mantra that we talked about earlier. What is your mantra for your business? If it doesn't grow my business, my bank account, or create fun for my family, I'm not doing it right now. I have to be a ninja with my time, whether it's in business or it's training for your marathon or half marathon, right? Another thing, you have to be willing to suck. You have to be willing to suck when you start. It gets easier as you condition yourself as an entrepreneur or condition your muscles to become more resilient, right? To become more resilient. And what I mean by that is in athleticism, we're actually growing the muscle, the strength, right? To perform, to go further, but we suck at first. We have to grow that muscle memory, right? With business, part of it is sucking at first and learning the business, but also getting used to, and this is kind of pivoting on to another topic, but it's getting used to and punching fear in the face, punching the uncomfortable lack of comfort zone in the face as an entrepreneur and as an athlete, right? We are challenged as athletes who are going further than we've ever gone, just like we are being challenged as entrepreneurs in uncharted territory. If you're building a brand or a business in a niche that's never been met, or you're being innovative, you're on the front line and the frontier of being a digital CEO, it can be scary. But what we learn is to get used to and become resilient to the unknown. It's not that the unknown doesn't disappear. It's just that we embrace faith and become comfortable with the unknown, right? We become comfortable with where we are headed, right? Okay. So that is another thing. Let's see what else. Admit you need support. Okay. What do I mean by that? Admit you need support. It's just like I talked a little bit earlier about having someone to hold you accountable. That's one thing, right? Someone who's going to push you out of your comfort zone. But then you need you need a group to cheer you on, right? Be your A team. I told my family yesterday, and thank goodness for my mindset coach, because she told me to do this. She's like, Melissa, you're a doer. You just get out there and you do and you do and you do. But sometimes I think you need to tell your family what you need from them, right? She's like, you need to tell them how you want them to celebrate you and support you during this race. This is a big deal, right? So I sat down with my kids this morning. I said, hey guys, you know how I showed up to your musical yesterday? You know how when you guys got straight A's, we went on to Amazon and got you a couple of your favorite books to celebrate your success? You know, how you can show mommy your love and support for me is I've been working really hard for this race, and it would be really important to me if you guys could make some signs for me and show up for me in certain turns of this race so that I can see your beautiful faces and feel supported, right? We have to sometimes put it out there that we need this. We need this support. It's the same in business. It's one of the reasons I joined 2 masterminds, because I have a community of people that we specifically reach out to people for support. When my father passed away last week, one of my dearest friends in my mastermind created space for me. We sat down on this couch virtually. She was in California, and did a huge hypno breathwork Reiki session to help create the space that I needed to move through my emotions, to manage my emotions and move through them, right? But I had to reach out and say, I need your support. I need your help. This has been a really tough week for me, right? So admit you need support and have the support set up for you, right? The last thing I'll say, and then I'll wrap up because I got to get on my mastermind call, is business and in endurance sports. It's about being the example for my children of what's possible when you focus on your goals. So when I set a goal with, and then we talked about this yesterday with my kids. One of them is like kind of like on the tail end of wanting to quit soccer. And I was like, we aren't quitters. It's fine if we don't go back after the season, but you're finishing out the season here with the soccer team. You have a team depending on you, right? And I set the example because I committed to this half marathon. I publicly talked about it, and they're seeing me go the course. They're seeing me train despite the setbacks, despite what's happened, despite the travel, right? That I am showing up, I'm focused on a goal, and I'm going to see it through to the end, just like in business. When my kids saw me 4 years ago say, I'm quitting corporate, I'm starting my own thing, and they have witnessed me behind this damn computer in front of this microphone every fucking day for the past 4 years. They come in off the bus and they see me work. They see me serve. They see me creating the dream that I spoke of, and I'm showing them what's possible. And whether it's a deadline of committing to a marathon or a deadline in committing to the growth of my business and creating the life that I dream and dreamt of for them with them, right? Okay. Woo! All right. That's it for today. This podcast will probably be dropped a couple of weeks from now, but I wanted to stream it live. Many times I stream, honestly, my personal podcast by myself. I'm like in my pajamas with no makeup, which is one of the reasons I don't go live with you guys. But if you're okay with me recording live in my jammies, maybe my silk jammies that I like hanging out with on my creation days with no makeup, I might just start coming live with you guys with all my recordings. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. And I will certainly do a recap after the race because I'm sure there'll be all kinds of things I learned during the race as well. I hope you guys have a great day.
Thanks for listening to the Burnout to All Out podcast. For free resources, materials, or information on my coaching services, go ahead over to livethefreelife.co. That's livethefreelife.co. Or check out our Facebook community at Burnout to All Out, and make sure you follow Burnout to All Out on Spotify and subscribe to iTunes. And it would truly mean the world to me if you paused for just a second, gave me that 5-star review of the show, and be sure to share this episode with any burnouts you think would be inspired to go all out after hearing this episode.